Welcome, everybody, to another grass cutting Thursday. Sorry, chainsaw now going too. We are here to talk about aliens, UFOs, upsake observing the global narrative as a conscious explorer and beyond. I want to welcome Laura, Dale, and Maty to the show, motherfucking chainsaw.
We lost Joel as well. I think Joel dropped off.
All right, so let's get down to the topic of the day. The world is going crazy. The Mexican Congress had a visitation, as to say. Now, there are multiple videos out there of the Mexican Congress being given a UFO update, much like our American Congress did, except this was to their whole Congress, and somebody pulled out an alien body that was in a coffin that was 2,000 years old and showed it off and did all the x-rays and stuff like that. Now, there are many people who say it's one thing or another. One way or another, the Mexican Congress got told the aliens were real. That's the key we have to take out of it. No matter what the detractors or protractors are going to say about the particular subject matter. It made it to a government, and the entire government was told it's real, and they've been around for thousands and thousands of years. This is being suppressed worldwide. Now, does anybody in the audience, have you heard about this?
It's all over the place at the moment.
Yeah,
see
TikTok.
All the news in TikTok.
TikTok don't count.
TikTok.
Oh. Okay.
It's too light worker.
TikToks for watching toe stubbing videos and fails.
So Lexi and Kimberly in the chat have.
And cops getting arrested. Cops getting arrested.
Pimple
and fights.
And immigrants.
And immigrants. And cam girls that never go away. So Relic is saying he saw the Academia mummy doc. Yes, this same mummy has been shown to multiple organizations. The same relatively same thing, a document. Yet there was more stuff added from the Mexican military that talked about the actual recovery of actual craft. The same thing David Gorsuch said in the American version that happened just about a month ago. So what does this mean? It's public. It's been made public by our own government many, many, many times. So what does it mean to the average light worker out there?
So why would they want to show this then on TV? So let's look into Mexico and the government itself. You say it's run by the cartels, the Mexico.
It's the CIA who run the cartels. The cartels make sure the CIA is funded so they can do what they want.
So why would they want to show this then? Because I'm sure this would never be shown in Parliament in England.
Well, I don't know if you realize, in the early 90s, in Mexico City, at any given day, if you looked up, there were UFOs in the skies for nearly a decade.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that.
Followed these documents come out of Mexico, loads of them. There was that really famous one with the little red-coloured kind of being that was running around, and it was in all the magazines for years.
Right. So for the entire decade of the 90s, UFOs were so common, not just Mexico City, but all the major cities in South America. But Mexico City, any given day, any given moment, you could look up and see a UFO flying around.
So they would have to show us something, wouldn't they? Otherwise, I'm saying this with tongue in cheek, otherwise it would look like they were hiding something if they didn't show us anything at all. So they do have to put some stuff out there.
They waited 23 years to admit it.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's still a controlled narrative. Now, obviously, that's the thing. It's, yes, it's still a controlled narrative, but this time the delivery is different. That's what interests me.
Well, no, They made a presentation and they brought a body. The American Congress would never let them bring a body to the Congress. That's the thing.
That's what I was saying. Like that, the body itself, fair enough saying it, which would have been a fart in the wind, but the body to it.
With all the science behind it.
Right. So imagine if that happened in the American Congress, they brought a corpse out. Okay.
Biden's like, yes, boys, here we go.
He'd probably fall over it. So why have they chosen to do that now? Why have the Mexican government doing that, Andrew?
The global tug of war for control is on.
Mhm.
And it's a tug of war, back and forth, back and forth. Good guys, bad guys, neutral guys. Good guys, bad guys, neutral guys. For a long time, it was an 8-way tug of war. Now it's down to a 2-way tug of war. Anything that exposes it and anything that suppresses it. Which, what does it mean for us? That's good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, shit's going to come to a head unless they can figure out how to pull the wool out from under us and fool us all really, really bad.
The thing is, as you say, Andrew, all of the evidence is already out there and has been for a very long time. All of the
Decades.
pieces of the puzzles, all of the different science, all of the different documentaries. If you really want to go down that rabbit hole, it's all there for you. It's just that groundswell of people that are going to, when it becomes that mainstream, that people ask greater questions. But still, they'll still control the narrative. This is the thing. Because yes, they've shown these little bodies from a long, long time ago, but that's nothing what the truth of the narrative is, you know? Or the truth of what is actually going on as far as interspecies communication and, the rest of it.
I think part of the problem is, I mean, I'm never sure whether to believe anything now or not. I have to use my discernment, and then I have to ask Dale or Maty or Andrew
Well,
what they think. I wasn't sure with this one.
I thought it was, as I saw it, because I've never seen anything like this on such a kind of like government perspective and of them showing the body. I was shocked and surprised. It took me a while to actually believe it. I was like, holy shit, yes, this is true. Wow.
Yeah,
the same with me. I'm like, is this real? Is this fucking real? Is this just a TikTok reel that's fucking with you? No, this shit is real.
But then, as Amy said, somebody put up a pic of those aliens being revealed as cakes.
That's
No. As I said in the beginning, there are always going to be the protractors and the detractors. It's not about is it real or not. It's the fact that it made it to the Congress of Mexico as a subject matter.
Right. Okay.
Right. It really doesn't matter if it's proof or not. Okay.
Right.
The same bodies have been shown to multiple organizations over a period of 10 years. Remember the Sirius project that came out? It's the same alien in the Sirius project that's in that little coffin thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was already proven real then, and everybody proved it false, and proved it real, proved it false. They have DNA tests to prove that it's real. Beyond that, it comes down to it actually made it to the Mexican Congress. That's the victory here. Some crack got broken. Some person got bribed enough because it's a corrupt society run by the cartels there that got it to go to the national level and stop the control systems from doing something.
Wow.
So it was a white hat maneuver, or it was just a happy-go-lucky coincidence?
No, it was absolutely a maneuver, and Mexico is probably the only state in which it could be done in the world because, again, you have cartels running everything in the background.
Yeah. The right price, you can get what you want.
Right. Maybe it was a cartel guy that says, "How much will it cost for you to present?" Okay.
He's there with like £20 billion.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Fuck it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Surely there's going to be.
Cocaine? Yeah.
Is there going to be more and more of this? Whether they're true or not, it doesn't matter, as you say. But will there be more and more of this, like exposure? Yes. So in the end, the system actually can't fight fires all over the place.
The answer is yes, but we have to look at what happened at the American hearings. The Gorsuch kept pushing for, I want to meet in the SCIF, which is a secured, controlled environment room where there are no listening devices, and they can present top secret information to everyone who has verified clearances. The deep state was denying this all the way through because if you enter the SCIF, that means they're actually going to shoot. Because he said, I will give you names, I will give you dates, I will give you locations, I will give you pictures. All that stuff's top secret and classified, and he has proof that it exists. It's already in classified documents spread over multiple servers. People know about it. Okay. The other thing he said, I will also tell you which private corporations are hiding these craft and where they're at. Okay. And he said, I will only do that in a secured environment room with everybody validated because that's part of his whistleblower thing. That in itself is a huge, giant thing. After that thing, the United States Congress came out and said there will be no more UFO hearings. Okay,
Let's put a
that's
stop to
done.
that.
That's done because if it interferes with the upcoming election cycle in any way, shape, or form, they're going to really screwed. They got to make it hide. They got to hide it. Okay. Now the same thing is going in Britain. The same thing is going to go in Germany and all the major countries, especially the Muslim countries. They are working harder than anything to hide UFOs because they would lose control of their religion if they did.
Yeah.
And they're going after Russell Brand now, aren't they? Mainly in England. That's like.
Oh, did you hear what? Did you hear what? Rumble did.
No.
So the British government sent a letter to Rumble demanding they demonetize and delete Russell Brand's channel off their thing. And Rumble publicized the letter direct from the British government and said, no, we will not be strong-arm tactic into suppressing anybody who has not had a trial, has not been proven. And these are 20-year-old charges.
That's
So he just basically exposed the entire British government for demanding you censor him.
Brilliant. I'm glad we use Rumble.
I watched it last night. Dispatches, it's called. This is why all the news went crazy 2 days ago. So Channel 4, which is like a main English TV channel, brought out a documentary called Dispatches. It's available online, I think. And it's basically just trying to put him under the rug. And all of the people who apparently were raped or whatever they were actors. You saw no actual person. They're all behind a shadow. And it just seems a bit odd to me, to be honest. Just a bit sketchy.
Because none of it's true. None of it's real.
There you go. That's
and he's been getting higher and higher profile, isn't he?
He's admitted,
especially over in the States.
So Russell Brand was a preemptive strike before the main election season in Canada and America and Britain start. That's what that was.
They had a sold-out tour.
The testing of their new control system. The same thing. Facebook is now blocking all external sources completely from everywhere entering their system.
I think YouTube have cut, not giving him any money, put him on a pay-like cut, and I think he's lost.
They demonetized his channel, but all that means is they collect the money, not him.
All right, fucking.
So Jen in the chat, hi Jen. Are we expecting governments to tell us the moon is an off-world government base? Where do they start with info? There you go.
They won't.
Okay.
If they're gonna, if, and this is a big double I quotation marks, if they're gonna start, it's about the cover up first. That's what has to be fought publicly. Then is when you know that the snowball could roll downhill or it's an uphill roll. That's where it'll start. The cover up. What are you covering up? And then a tidbit of the cover up will come. There's bodies. Where are the bodies? Cover up of the bodies. Who covered up the bodies? They find the bodies. Okay, they cover that back up because they don't want it to come out that they found the bodies. All this will be an internal fight, and what actually makes it external will once again be what they want as part of the controlled implosion of the system.
Controlled by who?
Amy, it was not the Mexican government. An independent researcher who got a hold of these bodies a decade ago and did scientific tests on them to prove that they were not human origin. These are mummies from the Paracas Mountains in Peru, the long skulls, and a number of other ones. The same bodies were featured in the Sirius document that came out in 2016 or 2017. Where they showed the little people and they had the same DNA tests. And the same thing has toured the world, going to different organizations and governments showing that it's real. They just were able to make a presentation at the Mexican government. How they got that is supposition. It's like, it's the cartels. It could have been a cartel guy that got it in there. We don't know how it got in there, but it got in there, and that's the victory itself.
Do you imagine if they didn't even know it was like presentation on something and they're like, well, get them in. They're coming down with the body.
Yeah.
So can you speak about those particular guys then, Andrew? What sort of species they were, why their bodies came to be where they were, and what kind of lives they lived?
All right. So the vast majority of them were not born here. They come from a variety of worlds. Many of them are Syrian oriented, meaning the majority of their DNA is from there, but they're also biological, programmed biological DNA that a soul can go into and out of at will. It happens that many of the Syrians liked those bodies. Just like you have a favorite car you don't ever want to give up, you personalize it in a specific way. And they came here and they brought that technology with them. There were people who were naturally born here because that technology can adapt to the natural living environments here, seen and unseen. That's the advantage to that technology. And it was used to spawn many other small people races throughout the planet.
And so why would
small
they
people, little people have a whole different layer of reality. They don't live in the visual layer reality we live in. They live in another density of reality that's separate of ours, and the only reason we can't see it is our skin suits are tuned to see them, don't have the experience of seeing them, and their particular reality vibrates different than us, and until we're able to have a multi-vibrational observational based body. But they do have a multi-observational based body, which allows them to be in a few different realities simultaneously.
So that's how come their bodies were found in this reality then?
No, when they passed, those particular bodies were natural Earth-born bodies, and when time for them to pass after about 1,500 years, their bodies remained in this reality.
Okay. And that must happen to loads of other species as well.
Correct.
Must have that same sort of technology.
Yes.
Sorry, Maty.
That's okay. So they weren't being revered for any particular reason, were they? Were they being treated the same way?
No. You got to realize they're integrated worldwide. It's not just Mexico or the Paracas. You could say at the time they're like 11% of the population.
Okay.
A minority, but still a significant amount.
Yeah.
Because many of them were capable of mass telepathy and educational-based telepathy, where they could individually tutor a mind and collectively tutor thousands of minds on how to do a variety of things, from mathematics to geometry to building things to body-based healing, and upload information to those that could maintain a higher vibrational frequency through working on the land, taking various medicines, having technological upgrades, activating the human side of the psychic battery and super strengths that humans are.
Oh, they're good to have around.
Like a management training system.
And so were the bodies in that preserved state because they wished to preserve them in case they needed them again? Or was it a ceremonial thing, or was it some other reason?
Those individual tribes had a specific death ritual that's not like putting people on the ground embalmed and letting them rot. They revered them a different way. The reason they were done that, because every few years they would come and take the bodies out of the tomb and put them around the ceremonial fires, and they would be able to telepathically talk with them. Even though the being left its physical body, it still had telepathic communication to them, and it was known as a fetish. Not BDSM fetish, a magical fetish. Something that gave them, so those who'd never physically met the being could still connect to its signature frequency. And that goes with any of the general mummies out there. They would bring them back out for ceremonial purposes or weddings or whatever. And imagine, yes, a mummified dead body at your wedding. Yeah. But that was a venerated thing to have there.
It's crowded in here, guys. It was about 20 mummies just on
the dance floor.
Yeah.
So that any being would have to have been born on Earth to have a body that it can be left on Earth. So you can't have a...
No. Hold on. In the layer of visible reality of humans.
Okay, yeah. So
not just Earth. The visible reality that they were born to a human culture intentionally. Not born in another version of the human culture, out of frequency or out of phase to the natural human culture. They were born into the linear time, even though they could function in other ones too.
Okay, and that's the only way.
They're the ones that walked among the people as an everyday, boots on the ground, interactive personality, versus, them being just out of phase in their other pocket reality next to us. The
Right. So
layered realities of observation.
if another being came, an alien came that wasn't in our phase of reality, in other words, we couldn't see it, when it
Correct.
passed, it wouldn't leave a body that, or if it did, we wouldn't be able to see it because it's still not in our phase of reality.
Unless it was born to linear time with a purposeful intent from the beginning.
Yeah, so it's the linear time that is the linchpin,
which is what these were, venerated by a people.
So would the individual beings hold a personality where in reality it would be a whole collective, but also separate individuals that are coming in and out of this avatar, but they would have to hold a singular personality for the people that they were working with, or were they working with high consciousness beings?
All right, so from the little person's perspective, when they're born, they're venerated by human beings who have an ancestral bond and connection to them that goes generations into the past. That gives a potential future of new generations coming in and meeting. The individual from, let's say, age 1 to 10 or 12 is an individual, but because they live 1,000, 2,000 years, their puberty may be 3, 4, 500 years before they're considered somewhat of an adult. And that's when more of a higher collective wisdom will be a part of the singular personality. But until that time, inside their DNA is active databases that will educate a variety of human species to do a variety of things. And their DNA is tuned to be around the DNA that's born in that area. So there's a charismatic connection between the little person and the big people.
So did those
And then when
little
they
people...
reach adulthood, more collectives of other individuals are a part of the individual who's a collective of many wisdoms to advise culture, shamanism, past, present, and future, whatever you want to define it as. But the individual is the cultural interface the collective needs. The collective doesn't understand the individual cultures and idiosyncrasies of people, but somebody born into it from the very beginning does.
So they said in those bodies that they were actually in a perpetual state of gestation.
Correct. That's why I was saying that particular one hadn't really reached its adulthood yet.
Yeah.
It probably died 200, 300 years into a, between 1,500 and 5,000 years they could live.
Right.
How was this being picked up then? Did it die in this reality on purpose to be found?
On purpose, no. That's part of the journey when it passes here. It's just there was no managing structure to delete it at that time because they didn't care if you left a body.
Yeah.
Okay? And again, there's very few of these bodies around, maybe 4,000 or 5,000 worldwide, and then the undiscovered ones. And that's not the only one. Okay? You've heard the term of pygmy before, right?
Mm-hmm.
2 foot, 3 foot tall human beings that up until the late 1970s were legal to hunt. Small people exist all around the world. Every culture has small people. Okay, 2 foot tall, 18 inches. Yeah.
So what type of effect is this going to have for everyone else? Or do you think the governments are just going to shut it down and it'll go quiet like it usually does?
Oh, it's going to go quiet because the election cycle is coming.
Yeah.
The fact that it made it in just before the election cycle is the big victory again. Okay, what can leak out between now and then? Brazil has also said UFOs exist, acknowledged by a government, as is a variety of other Latin American states. Any more Latin American states that come out is not going to make a difference. You need a major government to come out.
Mm-hmm.
An actual government, not people from the whistleblowing side.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? What is it going to take to get that to happen to, let's say, France, who's run by the bourgeois elite, or let's say Portugal, or Latvia, or Russia? Even though Russia's already admitted, Putin's admitted it like 4 times.
Yeah, they're never going to do it out of the kindness of their heart, are they? So it's always going to be
No.
a situation where they're doing it
A
to
political move.
over
Yeah.
or win a
Yeah.
information war.
Yeah, exactly. This means don't start cooking your popcorn just yet. We all have that lightworker desire to watch it crumble live on air. Okay.
Yeah.
We all have that. We all want it. Okay.
It's a gradual crumble, though, isn't it?
A very, very slow crumble. Yes. One that only can be seen really with hindsight until one day there's a tipping point or a critical mass of information makes it out, and at that point it's endgame.
But I'd say for most people,
go ahead.
Go ahead, mate.
No, you go ahead. Then.
So for most people, and this might just be me, is I feel that if everyone saw those UFOs, most people would be scared shitless and they'll be easy to control.
Except if you're in Mexico and you grew up with them everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah. Or let's say you're in someplace like Uganda. It happens there all the time, but they don't kill people. It's the Ugandan tribes that are killing people. Okay? They don't really care about that. It's the guy with the gun they're worried about.
Problem.
What were you going to say, Maty?
I've forgotten now, mate. I was when he was talking earlier on about some of the stuff. I was thinking of some of the videos that did make it out, and there was some really interesting Syria, because we were talking about maybe it would be great to have some videos of UFOs, and we haven't got that. But I do remember quite a few. There was, I think it was Syria, and there was some kind of a shootout.
Syria and Ukraine. The amount of videos that have been suppressed from Syria and Ukraine over the last 10 years, millions of videos have been suppressed and removed.
Yeah.
Wherever there are military activities, there's high volumes of UFO contacts.
Yeah. And they have a unique way of interacting. Did you see the one, Andrew, with the guy in the full Arabic dress that rescued somebody from a shootout, and there was somebody got shot, and he moved in a way that was just unhuman-like, and they brought him on. What was that situation?
Them having a holographic body to rescue somebody because they couldn't let their moral code said I had to do something, and which made direct interference.
Yeah. I miss those days on YouTube. So where are we going to go? ETs, guys.
Where are we going to go?
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask Marissa's question. So, Elon Musk satellites actually satellites, or is that a cover?
They're actually satellites, and it's a cover.
What's it covering?
So it's both.
They actually are satellites, and they actually do what they say they're going to do. What's the bigger cover? Detection? But who runs SpaceX? Clearly a faction who wants space travel and exposure to space travel. Doesn't matter if they're good or bad. They want to expose the outside world to those potentialities. They also want to be the first independent company to prove to NASA and all the other space agencies they can do it for 1/1000th of the cost, which is coming true.
And
the amount of money that America spent on is trillions, and he spent billions, 100x difference.
Yeah. And that kind of company can whichever one can bring into the narrative the idea of mining space like this, like being able to go out, grab minerals and things from space, and bring them back in. That then all of a sudden you add a whole nother level to.
There's more resources in near-Earth asteroids that are the size of a small table that can be attached to a magnetic tether and pulled into a vehicle and ground up. There's hundreds of years of mining of that. There could be 50,000 employees or 100,000 employees out there for the next 100 years, and they'd barely tap into the volume of materials that is there.
Yeah.
Okay.
What would it
Let's
take
say
to
you had
bring
the
that into
entire let's just say this: you had the entire population of Earth, 7,300,000,000 people, mining asteroids. It would still take them 2,000 years to mine out all those asteroids.
Woo.
Okay, that's how much material is out there.
Wow.
UFOs come and charge up over over the nodes, over the highest energy points
Yep.
on Earth. With all the changes in the Earth climate, more earthquakes and so on, will we see more of them doing that, or will we see more of them anyway doing that?
Okay, when you're seeing something charge up, it is actually in the layer of visible reality here, and either something has technologically gone wrong with it, or they're purposely entering the visible layer because they're about to make some type of unique smuggling run in which they don't want to be tracked.
Okay.
I've got a question about
So,
Elon Musk, Andrew.
Okay.
Is he connected to any off-world beings creating his technology?
No.
No. So it's just all him.
He isn't. No. That's not that simple. He is an independent, intelligent creator who has a high level of awareness that has a source connection and many subsource connections, meaning early on in his life, his unique genius accepted multidimensional living and thinking. Okay? Which allowed him to be where he's at now. He's still human. When you hear him say aliens aren't real and I don't believe that they're visited anytime recently, he's clearly not telling the truth. Yeah? He's clearly not telling the truth.
If he's that smart, he knows.
He knows. Okay. He knows his limits and his boundaries. I'm not saying that he's a completely good guy, but at the same time, he's the first billionaire to buy Twitter and expose government control. You got to give him the credit just for that.
Yeah.
The EV market, so on and so forth. He's been the pioneer, SpaceX, because he is trying to get humanity out of the fucking trenches and the swamp creatures from running it.
That's good to hear.
So do UFOs land all over Earth and they're just not seen?
Correct.
It's multiple dimensions.
Okay.
It's the dimensions they exist in.
Yeah.
I think they can be there at any point in different dimensions. It's just, can you observe those dimensions?
Just can we? Yeah.
And they can be invisible in this dimension. They have cloaking technology.
Yeah, which is creepy, which is strange.
Well, but when you see a cloud and it's not a cloud, you're like that's. There's just
sometimes
that inner knowing.
Listen, clouds are just to cover up big ships. Little ships and big ships can have cloaking devices too. When you're seeing things that are called cloud ships, it's because they're moving mass amounts of material from one place to another. And they can't use subfolded pocket dimensions to move the material. The material needs to be manifested in reality from go to point A to point B.
So have we got any more questions in the chat as well? If anybody's got any questions, just drop them in. Here's your time to ask Andrew, ask us some questions. Have we got any going up?
Okay, how can someone safely tune in and see a UFO in a localized reality? And this is much more complex than people actually think, because there's times where you can be there and you can observe a craft, but somebody else won't. I think a lot of it comes down to DNA lineage. It comes down to your frequency, but also what kind of lineage you have. And some people have it in them that if they invite UFOs in, you may have a negative experience. So really it comes back down to the self-mastery again. It comes down to creating that frequency within inside yourself where you can actually reach out into those other dimensions and have the backup behind you and the knowledge behind you to be able to safely figure out who's who and how to talk. Andrew says this all the time, really just start a gentle dialogue with them first. You'll be surprised.
And that's where most people go wrong. They don't understand what a general dialogue means.
Yeah.
because they can't allow themselves to have a natural conversation in their inner dialogue between an external source and the internal them.
So going back to the Elon Musk one, so you said yes, they're satellites, and yes, they're a cover. Did we say what they're covering?
Detection systems,
Okay.
targeting systems for weapons, plotting courses for ships that are operating on other layers so they don't crash into each other, like a giant airport radar hub. Integrated into the offensive and defensive systems, the ability to look down and deep underground. So it's a complete world observation system.
Did you see
They can tell if the mouse farts next door and the DNA of that mouse farting and what came out its ass as a chemical composition. If that's what it's trying to, that's what it can do.
So I saw a video recently, Andrew. I think this was a TikTok one as well, but it was a good one. Usually I skim past a lot of the UFO videos because a light in the sky is just a light in the sky after a while.
Right.
And but this one was it looked like a rectangular part of a craft that was its cloud technology was failing, and you could actually see people walking around the craft, actual shapes of people walking around. Have you seen that one? Recent one?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
no, I haven't.
I wonder if I can find it. So the cloud technology is something that's used a lot, isn't it? I mean, how much do you think of these UFO sightings that we're having now are actually terrestrial crafts?
Right. Once again, you got to come down to an understanding the layers of reality.
Yeah.
So if something wants to move from one layer to another, there's a system that says how you can do that. That's why nodes are so important. Ley lines are so important. It can go from South Africa to northern England in one blink of an eye. And once it's in northern England, a different node opens up that allows it to travel to someplace else and still not be visible. There's a particular route. Then there are times ships take shortcuts and they end up being seen here or there.
Yeah. And so do like our own militaries, do they have like actual realms?
Yes, they have their own ships. They have their own ships. I mean, right now at any given time, there are 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 ships in our upper atmosphere. Hundreds of thousands of ships. And in the lower atmospheres, on the visible layer, maybe 50, 60,000 at a time. Most of those are invisible. Let's say half of those are government owned.
Right. So this is just such a facade that we live in.
Sure.
Such
That's what the Great Awakening is going to be. The facade's pulled away.
Yeah.
So over here we talk about a lot of UFO sightings being seen Stonehenge Way and all over like Salisbury Plain, which is shut off as a Ministry of Defence area. So what is that about? Is that purely about the earth energies that they're using?
No, that's a military base.
So the military base are interacting with these UFOs?
No.
Okay.
You're trying to make me give you an answer that you think it is. It's a military base.
Yeah.
The military base itself attracts the off-worlders because they have technology there that makes it worthwhile. The Salisbury Plains, yes, it's a high-energy place, but that's also why the base was built there, to attract the UFOs, like a mousetrap.
Yeah.
So,
with the point of being what, Andrew? Once they've trapped the UFOs, what to
capture the technology,
study them, or
capture the technology, kill the beings, study the beings, do vivisections on them, clone them, time travel them, keep going and going and going. Anything they're going to do to experiment on them.
Okay, yeah.
When these beings are doing these types of operations, and I mean the non-terrestrial beings, when they're doing these operations, are they using unentangled observer technology, or are they using multiple different types of technology? Because once they
multiple different forms of unentangled observer technology is really only a small modicum of the off-worlders are using that.
Right.
It's not an easy technology to come by, let alone to get good at it. Okay,
Right.
it does exist here, but only the best of the best with the highest of technology and consciousness are using it.
So the governments that create these facilities, they know that they're going to entangle these beings when they come in, or are they
Intentionally,
entangled
yes.
anyway?
Yes, no, they're intentionally attempting to tangle them. That's the strategy has been since the early 1940s. In the 1950s, when they started putting off nuclear bombs that purposely attracted like moths to the flame, it attracted UFOs to those places. Wherever there were nuclear missiles, there were ships around it all the time. That was done via intention.
Yeah. And is the intention to create more chaos within the hairball, or is it very?
No, there's the ability to capture technology.
They just want to get good at it.
No, reverse engineering it. Getting more and more people onto the breakaway society that was going to be operating the off-world bases on Mars, on any of the other planets or asteroids in the solar system, along with the other off-world beings who live in the hollow Earth on the many other planets in this binary solar system.
Yeah, which is interesting because when one thinks that they have the kind of infrastructure that you were describing, that they'll be okay for technology, but they still are trying to attract a certain type of being and capture their technology, something they don't have, something they don't have.
No, back in the 40s, it was to trap.
Right.
They've trapped enough now, but they also fortified their systems with their own big ships, their own multidimensional technology. What goes on now is the higher density beings who understand the nature of what's going on here have created inroads and outroads for both good and bad that the technology can't stop. That's why they built CERN, which is an attempt to phase this whole solar system out of reality to stop the higher density beings from manipulating and changing what's going on here. Remember, in Hollow Earth, there are fifth, sixth, and even seventh density living beings who are counter to the other beings in the world who want the freedom here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are those who they don't want freedom for this place. They want it what they've built over the last few million years.
Mm-hmm.
So Ray's asking, where do the small 2-meter triangular light ships that interact with people come from?
So the small ones, the 2-meter ones, those are government pieces of technology that start as DNA observation and DNA triggering. Meaning they may fly over an area and they'll emit a pulse that will activate specific forms of DNA to increase its light value, and then that drone will be attracted to it, scan it, teleport it, metaphorically, butt plug it, so on and so forth, and oftentimes kidnap it and then bring it back to the reality. The small ones did that. They were the ones that were meant to trigger DNA, because DNA can hide inside the soups of reality. So they need thousands of these small ships to scan the mouse here, the squirrel there, the human here, the internet with the pulse electromagnetic living being inside the different servers who doesn't need a physical body but still functions through DNA.
Looking for lineages.
So they're constantly these small vessels are constantly emitting energy pulses that activate specific rungs of DNA that are very responsive to that type of activation signal, which is a hijacked Earth code. Best way to describe it.
So is there any way to distinguish which are government owned? Marissa's asking.
Read the stamp. From your normal observer position, no. That's why I said read. Does it say made in China, made in America, made on Sirius Prime? Okay.
So is abductions
made in the Zulak dimension?
Yeah, you never know what you're going to get anyway. You see, even if you're speaking with the higher dimensionals that are positive, they can appear to you as anything and everything. It's when you start to begin these kind of interactions, you're going to realize it's not black and white. You can't say, "Oh, this is true, this isn't, that's this is that." There's more to it than that.
I found a question I can answer. Why so many floods all around the world? Because the Earth is rebalancing our waters. Do you want to go deeper on that, Andrew?
Global redistribution of water. Whether the planet's gonna get hotter or colder, the water's got to move. That's it. There's no other answer to it. Water moves. Okay?
What do these aliens want us to know about them? Do they like being exposed in the news?
There's not one alien. There's thousands and thousands and thousands, tens of thousands, if anything. So you can't really say what does one like it. There are plenty who do not want any exposure because they want this farm to continue, the negatives. And then there are the positive, like, yeah, great job. You still suck. Okay. And then there are ones, oh, look at you humans go. We're still not helping you anymore. You got a lot longer way to go. Okay.
It's a bit like on Earth, really, isn't it?
These other aliens are like waiting to say, hold my beer to the other aliens so they can rush in and rescue us.
But I remember, and I don't know if this is just watching TV, but in the 90s, there was like loads of abductions and there was loads of people's encounters of their DNA or them taking the DNA from them. Is that still a relevant thing, or did they make a herd from like
so
probably
90s,
not a very...
The 90s is when it got publicized in mass. But that was on purpose. Okay, that was absolutely on purpose. So that more people would be willing, in a tacit consent mode, be open to abduction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
You've got to remember, they're all at it. They're all at it all the time. You know, I've been cloned hundreds and hundreds of times. I'm good guys. You know? We're all at it.
Exactly. all my clones fight back.
Anal probed at one point.
Except all my clones fight back.
Yes.
I'm not your bitch.
Dale, all we need is butt cream.
Yes, that's why. It makes sense now. We won't go into that, guys.
No.
Oh, we're going there, Dale. Yes, we are.
Because it's fun.
Moving on nicely. Weather's good today, isn't it?
This update shit sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't want to do update anyway, did you?
We pushed Andrew into doing this, guys. We're like, give him a little nudge.
I'm not trying to shit on the show, but what does this information really do?
Not a lot for anyone.
Nothing really.
No.
Instant grad.
I was going to say, does it really help us on our self-mastery journey?
No, it doesn't. Doesn't help you on the self-mastery journey.
Not really.
What about the Hawaii fires? Was it natural? No, it was not natural. It was absolutely organized from day one, but they didn't need directed energy weapons to start fires there. Fires are going on in Maui all the time. They just needed wind.
That's what they got. So is there going to be a point when humans and non-humans are going to live together on Earth, aware of one another?
Nope, never. You're fucked.
This is it. This is it. An infinite amount of time.
This is goodbye.
Yes, that will happen. When I've said around 2030 to 2050, you'll have citizenships between aliens and human beings, and humans can get off-world citizenships or temporary residency in other places and spaces, or off-worlders can have temporary residencies here.
So we'll be running cruises, by the way, everybody, just so you know, when that happens.
What we'll be doing? Running combined therapies, did you say?
Selling cruises off-world.
Yes.
Cruises off-world.
And Andrew, when you talk about that, when you've just said about 2035, what people say the golden age, I don't like to use the word, it's pretty light worker, but that era of time or no time. So I feel my prediction is there's going to be more of this, and because there has to be some shit what keeps going on. Someone has to throw an alien out left, right, and center now and then. Is that what we're going to see coming into that next page? Just shit like this, weird.
You just saw one in the Mexican Congress,
That's
right?
what I mean, yeah. But more of this shit where you're like, what you just said at the start of the show, Andrew. What the fuck am I seeing here? Like,
Yeah.
is this real?
What's next? What will break the apathy? What will break the machine itself that it cannot deny, where the people running the machine are going to let the truth out?
An alien coming down and taking a shit live on telly.
It's already happened. You know how many times the international airwaves have been hijacked by the aliens, and they said, "I'm Zanu from Anaka. Come listen to me." Dozens of times. They didn't do no shit.
I think it was going to take something like a war between something like America or Russia, or some kind of conflict, or Korea or somewhere. It's going to take some kind
Better
of
yet,
one of these
World Cup. The final goal interrupted by a ship across the sky. Just a quick dart.
Yeah, that'd be incredible.
Okay, and the goalie misses because of it.
Because the whole stadium.
Exactly. There you go.
Palladium flashes the tits like
Get someone's attention. Yeah.
all the football.
Yeah,
like,
it'll be like England versus Spain or something like that, or England versus Brazil.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
In England getting cracked.
Again.
Exactly. A big white light appears in the sky and blinds the goalie.
This actually is quite a difficult subject to get going, isn't it?
I think it comes down to what Andrew was saying, that it's just finding questions for instant gratification's sake, which are cool, which I like, but there's only such an amount of questions you can ask, and you know what I mean? You can keep just going and going and going, but it's quite a hard one to really do, isn't it? Like,
especially when you understand that self-mastery is the key to this grand awakening.
Yes, that's the key.
Yes. Yeah. And it's an individual awakening and not a mass awakening. Okay. Hi, Andrew. Love the show and was shocked to hear about the moon being a giant ship a few shows ago. Can you speak about the so-called moon landing by India? Why did this come in the news now?
Good question.
Thanks, Jen.
So,
yeah,
I have been saying that the moon is a ship since galactic history, 10 years ago.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's old information, but new to you. So India lands a ship after the American UFO thing, after the Russians missed, they crashed theirs, and after right when the Mexican Congress is getting shown aliens, India lands on the moon. First thing first, it's a cultural significance for the Indian people to say we've landed on the moon. That's more important than the actual landing on the moon for them. But it also means that they landed on the moon and they're no longer allowing the negotiating system of this world to negotiate for them.
What, to the beings on the moon?
You're muted. Yes.
So
put it this way: it's like if you have a black market of DNA, and India's got a massive supply of humans, and it wants to bypass the control system and the militaries that are out there. It needs to send representatives to the off-world mafias that are there
and tell the whole world about
it. Well, no, it needs to be about. They need the cultural significance of the people of India needed to be told our space systems are good enough and better than the Americans. Yeah, we have just landed on the moon.
Yeah.
At the same time, the Russians were trying too, and they crashed.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder when they're going to start using other technologies and rockets, going up like the same shit
until
over and over.
Until they admit on anti-gravity.
That's it. Just, come on, guys. Let's move on from the rockets.
Same thing with internal combustion engines. Are going to be the same thing until you have perpetual motion engines.
Yeah.
Put in a self-mastery question, Marissa. I don't want a self-master.
Please.
I don't want a self-master. I only want my instant gratification. I want my flying
my
car.
hoverboard.
You want your hoverboard? I want my flying car.
I want the food replicator.
Yeah.
Save me cooking.
So I'd like to ask you a question, Andrew, and it does relate to this a little bit. So what's your prediction for the next 5 years as human beings?
What everything humans are going to do for 5 years.
Just in a bit of a synopsis.
Think of it like this. The Three Stooges have bastard offspring with Monty Python. And the show is going to be Earth. Okay? Okay? It'll be like that. It'll be a little bit of Doctor Who, a little bit of, British drama, a little bit of American horror. That's what it's going to be.
Benny Hill.
Benny Hill. Exactly. It's going to be
Just
weird.
a drama show.
Undescribably weird as the systems of control become transparent. And how long will people let transparent control be there before they get out there and say no more?
And that's the question, isn't it? How long?
Yeah.
And if all you want to see aliens, guys, do self-mastery. It's the best way to get
Exactly.
best way to start engaging your way on that path to meet them.
Yeah.
Inner work.
Every time you sit down on the toilet to take a crap, they'll be there in your crown chakra wanting to talk.
That's right. So let me ask you a question. Maty, what do you think is going to happen?
The same shit that's happening now, really.
Okay. Let's say in the next year, 1 year.
Well, I know there's some things that you've talked about. There seems to be a big thing on immigration at the moment, especially migrants coming from the African continent over to Europe. This seems to be ramping up somewhat. So that's what I'm seeing. I imagine that situation. But as far as everything else goes, it's just going to be things are going to be better, then they're going to get worse, and they're going to get better, then they're going to get worse. And this is just the way it's going to go. It's just the same as it always is.
Yeah. Dale?
I honestly think there's going to be just some holy fuck moments where things are going to crack and bleed through. In even not like major, like the aliens are going to land, but just weird shit going on.
Right. And then
like
how they try to spin it to go away.
Yes.
To me, that's going to be the funnest part of how they spin it.
Yes.
Okay, Laura, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I just think there'll be some more exposés and various things coming out, but it's still always going to be down to people doing their own self-mastery, isn't it? So I think these things will keep popping out. But it's when the mass are going to realise that it's, and see through it. That I don't see happening for a while. Not in the next year.
What about the Karens, Laura?
What will they stop hugging people, you mean?
In my view,
you were going to get there, weren't you?
In my view, you have the British, Canadian, and American presidencies coming up in the next year.
All right.
Okay? So, in my view, in the next year, it'll all be about the global narrative. To keep you attracted to the global narrative. Whatever leaks out, they're going to suppress at the highest levels. Russell Brand was a preemptive strike against any form of truth seeker. You're going to see many, many, many more get taken down in the next year because they don't want their voices around during the election cycle. Period.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The more voices you suppress, the less that are going to get exposed to, oh, you should think about aliens today or this or that. But it's going to come down to the groundswell of, are people going to see ships in the sky? I don't think so. I think they're going to see the same amount they see every day. There's not going to be a mass amounts of them. Do I think the global narrative has economic issues? Absolutely. And it's going to purposely make that the big show so that you don't think about it. Okay? They're going to try to cover up, and spin whatever they can do. So it's the year of spin.
I wonder, why don't we predict who they're going to take down next? Let's go around.
They're already going after Musk. But who can they actually take down? Anybody in Hollywood that doesn't obey.
Yeah.
Okay.
They'd like to take Joe Rogan. There are a few others, but you know, the thing with Russell Brand is it was so obvious that it's people are just torn. So many people have just gone, no, this isn't even real. It's just really exposing the system for what it really is. It's done more
the transparent hypocrisy of it.
Have they gone after David Icke?
Oh yeah, many times.
Okay.
They've done that. Yeah. They got Alex Jones, didn't they?
Yeah, Alex Jones had $1 trillion settlements against him.
He didn't even have a chance to even talk.
Yeah.
So, I don't think so, Paulina, but I'll ask the question. Are aliens just a creation of the individual mind for the pleasure of the experience?
No.
Yeah.
But people do create that experience for themselves. We do create our own reality, but aliens are real.
But they do multiple realities. This is the thing.
So RFK is going to split the Democratic Party. If he lives or not, I don't know. I think if he were to have even a hangnail that got infected wrong, there would be a massive backlash against them. It'd be like trying to kill Epstein a second time. Okay. Epstein's alive. Now he's dead. Look, they found Epstein. They captured him. They're bringing him back to America. His plane crashed. Okay.
What about all these people who have been taken out from the government? Do they have any pushback in this reality as
Not
form
really.
of like?
Not really.
No. Yeah.
Oh, when they're fucked, they're fucked.
Yeah. What? So Joe Rogan, it's a weird one. Like I really like a lot of Joe Rogan stuff, but he doesn't really go on about spiritual stuff, does he at all? Or it's everything science, has to be science based.
No. He talks about ayahuasca, DMT, and non-science stuff and UFOs all the time. He just is more skeptical than he was a decade ago. Okay. And they've already tried to cancel Joe Rogan. It failed miserably, and they know
it was so funny that attempt.
The backlash of canceling somebody like that is worse than just leaving him on the air.
Yeah. Validate them.
Yeah.
I bet he's glad he got off YouTube. He got away from YouTube, Jesus.
Oh, yeah. Well, guys, let's call this an end to the show and just let it be about UFOs and aliens for all those that wanted to have their update. The once a year I give it. It'll be another year unless these guys twist my arm.
Yeah. We'll do a Hollow Earth update next week.
Can't hear you, Maty.
Say that
you're a bit muffled.
Am I? Okay, it's the device I'm on.
Yeah, you need to sit up. Yeah, probably.
Yes, the enthusiasm in my voice. Yes, you hear it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Laura, you want to give a way for people to get a hold of you?
Laura2feathers@gmail.com. Next week we are in York. There's some spaces left if you'd like to come on our combined healing therapy system. If you'd like to go through the system, let me know. And it starts next Thursday in York for about 8 days.
Maty?
He's frozen, I think, is he?
He's frozen. Dale, go ahead and give your contact.
Have taken him. So if anybody would like any psychic surgery or soul surgery, head over to daletobin.com. Thank you.
And Maty's still frozen. You go to my website, andrewbartzis.com. We just have a handful of days that those that want to sign up to be a part of the mentorship, you have only a couple days. It starts this coming Saturday, will be our first class. All right, Joel, take us away.
Do you want me to do Maty's?
He's still frozen.
Yeah, twofeathersmedicine.com.
I can do it.
Maty@twofeathers.com.